All right, good morning, everybody. We'll go ahead and get started. It's 9 o'clock. Out of respect for everyone's time, go ahead and get started on time. My name is Michael Dyson, the Assistant Director here at Development Services. I'm filling in for Al Raymond, who could be with us this morning. So if we can get going with the PowerPoint, we'll run through some updates here in the departments and get you going. Hope everybody can see our PowerPoint. I think it's showing here. All right. So next slide.
Next slide, yeah. Good morning, Naida Nixon-Mendez, Assistant Director over Land Development, and we have some announcements related to our staff positions. We did promote Craig Garrison to City Planner, and he will be involved in zoning, and of course he's liaison for our Landmark Commission. We hired David Stallworth. He started work this week as Senior City Planner. David has extensive experience in planning and development. He's certified with the American Institute of Certified Planners, and his experience comes from municipalities and counties in both Texas and Florida. And we have a second senior planner position, which is currently being advertised. As far as planning technicians, we have a new hire, Neil Bias. Neil comes to us from Louisiana State University. He just completed his master's in architecture there. So please help us welcome Neil. We're thrilled to have him start, and he started about 2 weeks ago. We have also another planning technician opening, which we interviewed for this week. So hopefully we'll see the second position filled. And so I'll turn it over to Andrew to report on our planning process.
Thanks, Nina. Good morning, everyone. Everything is with Development Services on our, and this is a slide.
And so I'll turn it over to Andrew
I always like reiteration and repetition. It helps reinforce the new directions we're taking. Of course, that now application fees are collected at the time of plat submittal. Fortunately, this plat cycle we're starting right now, all the plats were submitted and paid as part of the application, so the process is working moving forward. Again, part of that second step, which is that the second bullet, complete application. As you know, the state of Texas has a hard 30-day time limit when it comes to processing plats, and once they're deemed complete, they have to get to planning commission within 30 days. So part of that is that we are making sure every application has all the I's dotted and T's crossed and all the appropriate documents are submitted to declare them complete and keep them on that 30-day track. And then lastly, as mentioned last month, we have enacted a rule that says that if we do not hear back from an applicant once they receive their comments from TRC, or it's an incomplete submittal and the applicant was made aware that the application is incomplete. In either of those cases, if we do not hear back from the applicant or the engineering firm within 180 days, we deem that submittal incomplete or expired, I should say. Because of that expiration, it then restarts the process once that firm or applicant comes back in to restart. So again, the idea is to not have inactive submittals or plats that have no response from the applicant that they're kind of hanging out there. It's not a punishment or a means of saying we don't want to have, of course, persons plotting in the city. The idea is we don't want to have those just hanging out there. It affects our numbers, it affects performance, and more importantly, it affects efficiency. So that is the reason why that rule was instituted. But if there are any questions on any of those three items, I'd be more than happy to address them. Okay, hearing none, I'm going to turn it over to Brett, our engineer 5. He's going to talk a little bit about stormwater quality management plans.
Hello, everyone. Brett Flint, engineer 5 here at Development Services. We recently have had a few instances where new development has resulted in some stormwater issues on adjacent land. And so what we want to do is try and identify those issues at the planning stage, at least in general. If we look at the UDC does state that the developer is responsible for all stormwater that his development encounters, whether it's a result of the development itself or water that's running onto the site from adjacent property. UDC also references the stormwater management plan, and it references the municipal code, section 14, which speaks to stormwater. And in municipal section 14, the stormwater quality management plan states that the stormwater quality management plan will address how runoff water will be handled, including sheet flow entering the site from the adjoining property. So moving forward, we're going to be, and many of these items are listed on the next slide. And next slide. There's a checklist in the plat application packet that has a lot of these items on it. So what we want to look for is when we put together our application package and we turn in our stormwater management plan. Next slide. This is quite typically what we see. And it shows the direction of flow. I presume that these arrows are intended to be the proposed direction of flow. But there's no indication of flow on the outside of the property. Now, in this case, the adjacent properties probably flow towards the street as well. But, you know, is there flow coming on from the backside of the property? Next slide. So this is a closer what we're looking for. This is not ideal, but you can see on the existing conditions, they've delineated the drainage basins. You can see that there's some arrows to on the right side of the existing that show flow coming onto the property from outside the property. And then they've given a proposed plan of how they're going to manage that flow. So we are going to be looking at the stormwater quality management plans a little closer to make sure that we're catching these potential drainage issues early on. I think that's helpful for anyone. It's a lot easier to address a problem in the preliminary design stage and make sure you're managing it than trying to address an issue after the fact. Are there any questions? Right.
This is Sheldon Schrader. I have a question. So will this be a situation where will we need to have additional survey area beyond a project site? In other words, will we have to obtain permission from other landowners to get grading information to show how the flow interacts with the property we're developing?
I mean, that's a valid concern because of access to those properties.
We're still working through
on it.
Yeah, we're working through the details as we've already. This is Mike Dice. As we've already met with stakeholders regarding instituting IB 008 as it relates to drainage. Again, we're still in the stakeholder discussion portion. We're pointing this out again. It's to continue the drainage discussion, things that we see coming in and how we would prefer to see things for review. Again, the finite details of what's going to be required is still to be determined at this point, but we are working on it. We just, again, are putting this out there for continued discussion on the reoccurring drainage issues that we're having. We just want to make it clear from pushing the dirt time, of the platting and site development that this is an issue we want to be cognizant of moving forward all the way through. But we continue these discussions, and when we get those finite details, we definitely will push those out to the stakeholders.
We're really just asking it that at the planning stage, you have your engineers think about that. And try to look at the property. You can pull up the total map of the city, and you can probably get a pretty good idea whether or not there's a potential issue. And as we work through this and work with the stakeholders, we'll have better direction. But we're just trying to highlight this as an issue. asked that we work together as a developed community to try and mitigate these issues and identify them early on, so that, like I say, we're not trying to fix a problem, we're trying to avoid problems.
All right, Brent, this is Bart Brazelton, and I just want to comment, jump in here. As Mike had mentioned, the discussions have been ongoing, but it needs the Builders Association, the Coastal Bend Home Builders Association, and the Developers Council. We want to engage and want to continue to try to find a solution, but it needs to be clear that if water is illegally draining across our property, in a case as we discussed yesterday, I don't care what you write in the UDC. I don't care what a rule says. The state law is going to trump that. You cannot illegally drain across somebody else's property. Now, how it gets corrected, how you mitigate somebody else's property that I cannot walk on and give them dirt to fix their own land is the issue that we're all concerned with. But I just want to be clear, just because you have a policy or write a rule in the UDC, a bigger law, a state law trumps it. And in this case, we have several cases right now where people have been illegally draining across developers' property for years. And then suddenly, when we build our subdivision correctly, those people call a city councilman and stuff, when we know which way the stuff rolls. And so just to be clear, we, as the Builders Association and as individual developers, we want to engage, we want to help avoid problems, we want to solve problems, but we do not accept the fact that all drainage near us, because we're the last guy there, is our fault. Doesn't matter what the UDC, in this case, you've got a UDC rule that you can't enforce.
Understood, Bart. Again, we've had these discussions. We had a discussion with your group yesterday. We're going to continue to work through the details. We're just trying again to make sure that the discussion continues and that we do work to a resolution that is better for developers, citizens, customers, everybody engaged in the city. We want to make sure that everybody is at the table and working to a good resolution. So again, we're working on that. We're just continuing the discussion at this point.
Absolutely, Mike, and thank you for engaging with us and working with us and helping us find a good solution that everybody benefits from. But, there has got to be some responsibility placed upon homeowners who will not and have not maintained their own property. We will be part of the discussion. We will, we can know it's going to happen, but it's got to be clear that forcing a developer to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to solve somebody else's problems, someone who has not taken care of their own property, that's not a solution that's going to fly. And I know you know that. We haven't had the opportunity to visit with everybody on the staff, especially the new folks, and so I just wanted to reinforce that point. Thanks, Mike. I appreciate it. We appreciate all you're doing.
Understood.
Yeah, understood. And again, the point is trying to identify those issues early. And if it's an issue where it is a problem with the maintenance issue, then if we identify that at the planning stage, the design stage, it's going to be a lot better to address it then and come up with a solution through the design process and through the development process, and rather than waiting till the end. And now we have people yelling and screaming on both sides of the issue.
So again, we're continuing the discussion and we'll be engaged with all the stakeholders as we make changes and we update IB 08 or any new IB that may come out to supplement that.
Okay, next slide. We have our trust fund balance report. So currently the balance is $1,600,526.08 for the combined funds, and you'll see the breakdown here on the slide. We do have our West Point Crossing Unit 2 amendment moving forward to council on the 13th. And we are tentatively scheduling the River Ridge Unit 4 lift station project for 4/27. The way the River Ridge Unit 4 wastewater and lift station is being structured is that the funds would only come out of the sanitary sewer trunk system trust. So as funds would become available in that, that would go to the payout for that particular project. So we would not be utilizing funds from the other trust fund accounts for that. That is provided in the Unified Development Code. So it's sort of, you know, first come, first serve, right? And secondly, an option in the Unified Development Code is for credit as well in lieu of cash payouts. So there are a couple of alternatives that will be included with this particular agreement. Next slide, we have our participation funds and.
Nina, can I ask?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
My apologies for interrupting you. I'm sorry. I was a bit late on the unmute. I heard you say, this is Bart Brazelton, I heard you say that only the sanitary sewer trust, the trust fund number will be, or the trust fund account will be used for the River Ridge lift station. Is that correct?
That is our proposal, yes.
And why is that? Because the UDC now provides that all of them can be combined
you can do right, you can do so, but you know, this is a 24-month project, and we feel by the end of the 24 months that the fund will be replenished.
Well,
so for right now, the trunk system is 1.1, right? The 44,000 is going to be considered by council on the 13th. The River Ridge project is, you know, 2 million and change. So the idea is that over the 24 months, most of that sanitary sewer system trust fund will be replenished with new lot acreage fees. So instead of combining funds and encumbering the total amount, this will just allow the encumbrance of the one fund.
That's a good idea. Question, is that a new policy or is that the?
No, that's permitted in the Unified Development Code. Now, we have in the past done transfers, but you know, that's been for pretty large projects like the London project. If you recall, we had to transfer because that was a $4 million project. Well, this is a smaller project, and we believe that the funds will replenish. So we don't feel like, and with the monthly reimbursement process, then, you know, we feel that this is a very logical approach.
I understand. And the question is that the new policy, or does the developer agree with that, or has he agreed with that? What I'm trying to understand is exactly because of the London project.
We've spoken with the engineer on the project regarding the proposal.
We're going to be in a meeting, Mondo, so let's listen here.
Okay, we've spoken with the engineer on the project and informed him that that is going to be our recommendation to City Council.
Very good. So it's staff's recommendation. It's not an agreement yet. It's what staff's going to want to do versus what we've done in the past. That's what I was looking for. Thank you.
And again, we have a rationale for that.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I understand.
Any other questions on that? All right, next slide is concerning our participation funds. Council did approve the Coda Oso project, which is the $91,000 project. And so our balance is now about 2.4 million. We do have 2 pending projects that are still under review. We're still looking at the projects. One is Rural Future Units, and the other is Calico Estates. We're going to, as I said, there's still an application process we're reviewing, but we're looking to put some council dates on as well. So any questions regarding this? All right, thank you. Turn it over to the building division.
All right, Mike Dice here for the building division. If you want to take the next slide. Go over some staff hires and promotions. Again, we're hiring at a good clip, hiring faster than most restaurants in this town, so that's a good thing. We've recruited Edward Benavides. He's our new senior building inspector. He came from the city of Bastrop as their CDO, former employee here in Corpus as well as San Antonio. He brings a lot of experience to the table. Gerardo Cantu has been hired as our compliance inspector. These were two positions that were done in the budget last year to help us investigate work without permits, assist code compliance with and code enforcement with building issues, zoning inspections, things of that nature. So this helps the department get out there and look for violations and be ahead of problems rather than be reactive. Ryan Edwards, another gentleman hired for building inspection. Conrad Martinez as a plans examiner, and then Cynthia, who you may know from the front counters, were promoted to a plans examiner. Again, we're excited to have everybody on with the new hires and filling those spots with, again, people that have a good background, competent in what they do, and again, making our inspection and plan review and new compliance inspector division a better place. We still do have some vacancies. We're looking for another plan reviewer. We have a building inspector posted. We have, again, an additional compliance inspector position that hasn't been filled. We do have a chief plans examiner position who supervises all of our plan reviewers, commercial and residential. And then we have 3 permit technicians. Again, we're trying to make sure that our front counter staff is fully staffed and trained. Again, we want to make sure that anybody who comes in has the ability to get service as fast, quick, and efficient as possible. Our permit technicians also handle a lot of our online requests and phone services. So we're looking to get these filled as soon as possible. And again, we're excited for those positions. Next slide. So just brief touch on some hot topics. Again, we've mentioned in the past contractor changeouts. We run into some issues with permits being out of the gate with contractors who may or may not actually have been on the job. They've just been placeholded on that application. We just recommend to you guys to help speed up your process. Make sure that the contractor or subcontractor that you list for your trades is the one that you're actually using. As we have to do these change out requests, it does slow down our other processes as well as delay inspections and updates to your permits. Again, the continued requests for change outs and I know with the current situation, we have a lot of contractors coming into town and out of town. It's a very competitive market. Just be aware that anytime a change out request is sent to us, it does take some time to get in and done in the system, as we are receiving close to hundreds of change outs a week. So we almost have to have a full-time employee handle change outs. So we're working on that. Just be aware of who you put down, make sure that they are the ones that are gonna work on your job. If you do have someone change, please just be aware it's not an instantaneous change. It does take a day or two to get that in the system. We wanna make sure we don't slow you guys down. Again, I'm talking about slowing down. If you're needing inspection results, while we do have the call center, the call bank, you can look up all your inspection results online through the dynamic portal. That again is there to help speed up your process. It's 24/7 access. You can look at your results, schedule inspections. Again, we do have the call center. It does take time to look up and go through each and every one of your calls. Our call rates are running between 20 and 30 minutes for an inspection result phone call. We just would like to, again, remind everyone that the dynamic portal is out there and accessible for you guys to use for that information, which leads to the next thing. Again, dynamic portal is there. We want to make sure people are getting reacquainted with the online system. As we move into our new permit system, which goes to council April 20th, if council approves that, we will be working to update our Enforce system, which is our permit system. It's been the same system without updates since 2016. which is horrible for a software system. The new system has an online component called Rhythm, which will take the place of our current dynamic portal. Rhythm will allow you to do more, access more. It's set up for mobile, allows data transfer such as large documents, things of that nature. So we want to get people reacquainted with doing everything online. As it does speed up their process, we want to make sure that this department does things as efficient as possible, so your jobs are as efficient as possible. So again, the next generation of software will be coming out in 2022, hopefully not as late as 23, but again, we want everybody to be aware that the dynamic portal is currently there. You can check statuses, schedule inspections, and things of that nature that you don't have to come in or call. Although we do like to see everyone's wonderful face, masked, of course, you can do a lot of your job and your business online. So we just want to, again, remind people of that. And then we'll jump into the director's report. I'm going to pull up the revenue.
Yes.
I'm going to pull up the revenue slide here real quick. Just give us a sec.
I can't get this one right here.
Well, I can break it down. Oh, there we go. Okay, I hope everyone can see that. I know there's a little bit of a delay. So as it shows for our March revenues, our expenditures had a little bit of an uptick. We are above budget, and we are, trending right on line with the expenditures right now. So it's a good time right now. We did have a little bit of an uptick from the February freeze event, a large uptick, obviously, in plumbing permits, but the department's doing well. We're managing our expenses well. Again, we're doing the best we have with what we have, and again, trying to keep that going with the department. So as we talk about numbers, we're actually moving into our budget process for the city. So just to give everyone a heads up, we'll be starting that process here quickly with finance. We're actually having to submit documents at this point. So just a heads up, we are starting budget, getting that done early. And as we talk about budget, we have our performance measures, which you see on the screen. So to run down, basically, we've had a pretty good plan submittal and residential plan submittal month. Our reviews are completed. Again, as we've mentioned with the vacancies, and we now have some new hires, our average time review for residential is over goal. We know that. We're addressing that with the hires. We expect that to come down, again, as we process things in a more efficient manner with the staff that we have. Again, we had a number of commercial plans submitted last month with our reviews completed, again, a little over our goal, but we're now ramping up those plan reviewers to address that. Again, as we look down for permits and inspections, again, we've got a lot going on. We had 4 rezonings, we had 14 plats submitted, a number of plats accepted. The public improvement plans, again, we're pretty much on. We're a little over in that time review, but again, as we bring on new staff in the land development section as well, that will help get those numbers down. And again, we're actively, aggressively recruiting for those positions. And then inspections, again, a number of inspections we're a little behind. What we're most behind on right now is electrical inspections. Again, we've reached out to stakeholders to let them know we do know, and we're aware of the situation. We're actively, aggressively hiring for those positions. We are a little under goal overall, 79%. Our goal is 85%. But we're running, we're resulting about 3,700 inspections a month, which is a little bit of an uptick for us. But we are, again, working on getting all those items through, getting those positions filled, and getting, again, all those numbers and inspection numbers at or below our goals. So we're working on it, and we're getting there. Hiring process sometimes does take time, and as I jokingly mentioned about restaurants, it is a competitive market. We know that, and we are doing everything we can to get those filled. So if you want to go back to the reports we had right there. So again, with some announcements, we've had kickoff meetings for our master plan initiative. We're looking to do the comprehensive master plans for water, wastewater, stormwater, and roads. That was adopted by council recently. Pete Dawson is running that for us. So as we get those meetings, and again, internal meetings at this point, as we move forward with those, we'll start reaching out to stakeholders on the stakeholder and citizen engagement portion of those. Again, we'll be publishing on our website as well as local news and the caller times. We're already putting together a communication plan to get that going. We want to make sure that everybody's aware of all that. We have an RFQ out for our building remodel. We're proposing a remodel of the first and second floor of this building. Again, to better serve the customers that are here and better serve the team members as well who work here. So there'll be a pre-bid conference at the end of the month. Again, check out our procurement page for any of that. That way you guys are aware of that. Next, if you didn't already know, ICC May is Building Safety Month. We try to every year promote the ICC's weekly building safety acknowledgements. Those will get started here. We're going to actually have a proclamation with the mayor on April 27th. Oh, I'm sorry, May 11th. So we will get that, again, those out with our newsletter, our bi-monthly newsletter, which actually will be sent out next week. And all the information that we're talking about today will be in that as well. So again, keep an eye out for the newsletter. The newsletter will also include an article or a brief snippet about our ICODE committees. We began engaging stakeholders to volunteer, put in an application to sit on committees for the 2021 code adoption. The City of Corpus adopts the building code about every 6 years. We're currently under the 2015 code. We will be working through the code adoption of the 21 code. That application process is open right now to the end of April. We plan on starting the meetings this summer and looking for code adoption middle of next year. Again, we want to make sure that the city is up to date in codes. We want to make sure we do the right local amendments that are good for this city, good for developers, good for end customers. And again, it's a stakeholder process. And it's good to have that out there. And that's why we have those applications. We want to make sure everybody can participate. Other than that, I think that wraps us up for this meeting. Do you guys have any questions for us? I don't see anything in the chat. Well, again, it's Friday. Please enjoy your weekend. Get out there and get vaccinated. I hear that we have a vaccination place in the mall that's coming up soon. So if you haven't been vaccinated, do that. Other than that, if you have any questions for development services, please feel free to reach out to me. Our next meeting is the date of our next meeting. May 14th will be our next meeting. And again, we'll send out an invite for that prior. But again, thanks everybody for joining us. If you have any questions, definitely feel free to reach out to me and enjoy your weekend. Thank you.